Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're watching Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
On today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Week 15 recap. Pretty crazy week. 3 17-plus point comebacks this week, so that's pretty awesome. Before we get into those games, though, just a couple of very small things of news quick. Starting off with Jalen Hurts is very questionable to play this Sunday against the Cowboys, so we might be seeing Gardner Minshew get another start as a Philadelphia Eagle, which, of course, as you know, Cal and I always love to see. It's always exciting to see Money Minshew out on the field. And then also the Packers released wide receiver Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, he had fallen to fifth on the depth chart, so it's kind of an unsurprising move. Let the younger guys take his reps. He just never really gelled or fit in the Green Bay offense, which is too bad. But at his age, not expected.
A positive, though, he went the entire season without getting hurt, I believe. Or did he?
He was on IR once.
Oh, okay. Then never mind. Very Sammy
Yeah,
Watkins.
we even used one of our IR returns on him. So
yeah. Oof. Then never mind. Just tough overall for Sammy Watkins.
yeah.
But now we will jump into those games, starting with the 49ers heading to Seattle to take on the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football and winning by a score of 21-13. Another win here for Brock Purdy and that insane 49ers overall roster. Even without Deebo Samuels, they were able to go into the home of the 12th man and still pick up a win, which just goes to show how truly dominant that defense is. And for lack of a better term, easy it is to run that offense, because for a guy like Brock Purdy to go in and deal with that crowd in that young but pretty stellar secondary Seattle has built over this season and still be able to put up, I want to say he had at least one to George Kittle, if not 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
The run game just continued to take over and that defense just continued to shut down. So overall, good divisional win by the 49ers, and they have now clinched the NFC West.
Yeah, it was a pretty good game for the Niners and a really good game for George Kittle, who did have 2 touchdown receptions, almost 100 yards. So that was good to have him, come back and reemerge. And then Purdy just continued his tear. He now has more passing touchdowns than any other rookie quarterback in the NFL this year. And, we all saw that coming.
Yeah, for sure. Mr. Irrelevant MVP for the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Brock Purdy. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what we're going with.
Who knows? We'll have to see at this point. He's got a chance. But yeah, crazy to see that. And the Seahawks still are in the hunt for the playoff, but they are now the 9th seed. So they're on the outside looking in right now. Next up, we had an exciting Saturday matchup with the Indianapolis Colts heading to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, and the Vikings winning by a score of 39-36, which if you saw the halftime score of this game, you'll understand truly how crazy this is, because the halftime score of this game was 33-0 Indianapolis. So the Vikings were down 33 points and came back and won, making this the largest ever comeback, beating out the 1993 comeback where the Buffalo Bills were down by 32 points to the Houston Oilers and were able to come back and win in overtime. So now the Vikings take back that record, and we already tied with the Buffalo Bills for the bad record of the most Super Bowls without a win. So we might as well hold the only good record that the Buffalo Bills and us are close with. I mean, it's just right to do it. But I watched this entire game, and man, it was a headache watching the first half, to say the least. The offense just continued to miss opportunities, and I gotta give credit to the Colts. They were able to take advantage of every single opportunity and put points up on the board, which, especially for a struggling team like that, is really impressive to do. That's more of a tough task than people realize. But nevertheless, the Vikings are able to come back and win. And I had a weird feeling throughout that entire first half. We had our family Christmas, and I was telling our family the whole time, like, the Vikings are a second half team. Like, the more it got out of hand, and by the time we were down 33-0, some of that faith went away. But when we were down like 23-0, I still had a weird bit of faith, and I still even had a little bit at 33-0. And by some stroke of a miracle, the Vikings were actually able to complete the comeback.
Yeah, it was quite the comeback for sure. And then poor Matt Ryan, he's got now both 33-0 and 28-3 on his back. So, yeah, it's been a rough stretch for him. He just can't seem to hold any leads.
Yeah, talk about beating a dead horse. Just really locking that in on Matt Ryan. He's just going to be terrified to ever play with the lead.
Yeah.
I mean, if he actually plays another season, or at least these last few games, they're just going to have to stay behind all the entire game and keep it close, or else they're just not going to be able to play with the lead.
No, he doesn't know how to handle it.
It is a true tragedy there for Matt Ryan and the Colts. But I'm not complaining because the Vikings have now clinched the NFC North for the first time since 2017. So, round of applause. Love to hear it there, of course. At least I do. I know Callum probably doesn't.
Yeah, not so much.
Moving on to another Saturday game, we got the Miami Dolphins heading to the aforementioned Buffalo Bills. And the Bills also pick up a win by a score of 32-29 within their division. Great game overall. I didn't get to watch a ton of it, but all of the highlights I saw and everything I've heard about it, this was just probably, if it wasn't for the Vikings, like almost the game of the week. Apparently this was an amazing game. Like I said, sadly I didn't get to see much, but I know Josh Allen had just over 300 passing yards and I want to say 4 touchdowns. And I know he had just over or just short of 100 rushing yards. So it's good to see Josh Allen really put that team on his back and play well again, because he's been on a not so stellar run recently, but he seems to have gotten his mojo back and picked up a huge win against a divisional opponent there in the AFC East.
Yeah, this seemed more like the Bills were just in a Josh Allen save us mode, because the Dolphins came out with a much better game plan. Tua played very well. He had 2 touchdowns, and then they had a running game of over 100 yards. So the Dolphins kept it close, even in that cold Buffalo weather, and were still in that game right up to the very end and had the lead for a little bit.
Yep, Tyler Bass, cold-blooded in the cold weather, though, was able to hit the game-winning field goal to end it. Now moving on to the Sunday slate of games, starting with another one of those 17-point comebacks, with the Cowboys heading to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, and the Jaguars pick up an overtime win by a score of 40-34. And in a crazy enough fashion, the overtime touchdown came on a fumble recovery return for a touchdown by Rashawn Jenkins, the Jacksonville Jaguars safety, which is just really cool to see, because I feel like you don't really get to see that much ending on an exciting defensive touchdown like that. You see every once in a while those long ball offensive touchdowns to end overtime rather quickly, but when you can come out as the defense and pick up a win, it's just awesome to see kind of anomalies like that. But really a huge win for Jacksonville, because I want to say they are still kind of in that race for that AFC South.
They're now 1 game behind the Titans.
So it's not looking great this far into the season to be a whole game behind, especially considering, if I'm not mistaken, the Titans do hold the tiebreaker, so technically 2 games behind this late into the season. But they are keeping their playoff hopes alive in a bad loss for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it was really a stupid loss, because they had a chance to seal it up with late in the 4th quarter, and then McCarthy decided to go for a touchdown shot and the kill shot instead of just going for the first down and running out the clock. So it kind of got what the Cowboys kind of got what they had coming to them for being so aggressive. But, you know, a great win by the Jaguars for them to be able to come back and surprise the Cowboys. Zay Jones had a hell of a game. He had 3 touchdowns receiving, and then Marvin Jones added another for Trevor Lawrence's 4-touchdown game. Another stellar performance by Lawrence.
Yeah, it was awesome to see Lawrence be able to come back and recreate that performance again after having easily the best game of his career last week. He didn't have quite as good as a game as last week, but to still put up that good of a performance is awesome to see for a young guy like that. And very much a Mike McCarthy move to go for a kill shot and then have it end up losing for you. So no surprise there coming out of the McCarthy call. But next up, we got another divisional matchup, this time in the NFC East, with the New York Giants heading to Washington to take on the Commanders and picking up a road win by the score of 20-12.
Yeah, I kind of thought that this game would be a tie. I went for the big points, went for the home run. It almost was a tie. The Commanders had a chance at the end to get in the end zone and tie it up, but they just fell short. Heineke is kind of starting to lose a little bit of his magic. He had a bad interception that helped the Giants take the lead. And then the Giants and Saquon Barkley, he's had one of his best games in a few weeks. So if he can get going, the Giants can be a team to really be afraid of.
Yeah, it's just like last time when they had the tie, we joked about how neither of them wanted to win. They just kept trying to push the win to the other person. And from what I caught of this game, which wasn't a ton, but a good portion of it, was kind of the same thing. Like, neither of these teams played overly stellar. It's not like the Giants went out there and had this awesome win against a divisional opponent. Both teams looked kind of flat, and the Giants were just the better of the two options, I guess, at the end of the day, and they were able to pick up the win. But like Callan said, the Commies had the ball and were driving late. So when I saw the Giants with 20 and the Commanders moving down the field, I was like, no way. No way it happens again. No way it happens at 2020 again. But it didn't end up happening. The Commanders were not able to put it in the end zone. And that puts the Giants way ahead of them in the playoff race for that wild card spot. So good for the Giants. I'm happy to see them get Daboll and kind of be able to turn their team around a little bit.
Yeah, it puts the Giants in the 6th seed and the Washington fell to the 7th seed.
Yep. And then now, finally, with the Monday Night Football game, we have the Los Angeles Rams heading to Green Bay to take on the Packers, and the Packers winning by a score of 24-12.
Yeah, this was an exciting and all-around complete game by Green Bay, which I felt very good about. It's very good to build with and build around. You know, we're still not out of it yet. We went from 11% to 12% chance with that win. So our percentages keep going up. That's always good.
1% at a time. That's all it takes.
1% at a time. Hey, you know, win out, see what you can do,
see
what happens.
They say one step at a time is how you do things. So 1% at a time is how you do things.
One game at a time. And then this was actually the largest victory, or the largest the largest victory margin of all the games this week, 12 points, which just goes to show you how close all these games were this week.
Wow, I did not know that. That is insane. That's how you know you had a hell of a week of football when the largest margin of victory is only 12 points. But I'll be dead honest, I had a little cousin Christmas concert last night. I got to watch none of this game. I saw Rodgers had a touchdown. Was it to Christian Watson?
Nope, it was to Aaron Jones.
I want to see Christian Watson get some more touchdowns.
He had one.
Just because that'd be cool at this point.
He called an audible to Watson, and Watson didn't read the audible, and he threw it right to the end zone, and Watson just ran right by the ball.
Oh.
And then afterwards they asked Rodgers about that, and he said, hey, if you want to catch touchdowns, run the right routes.
Oh, that's brutal. That sucks.
So he had a chance to add to his touchdown numbers, but he just missed out.
Hey, that's a great learning moment, though. I bet he never misses the audible again in his entire career. Bet. Yeah, for real. All right, well, that was our NFL Week 15 recap. Thank you so much for watching, and keep an eye out tomorrow for our NFL Week 16 predictions. But until then, don't forget
to eat the W.